Wonderful. All right. You want to get us started?
No.
No. Oh my God. Okay. I'll get us started.
No, shut up. Welcome to Consume Content, where we're in a mood.
We're in a mood. I'm just a little sleepy as all.
Yeah, and I'm full and I'm angry.
Angry because you're
This
full.
is where we help you find the best content to consume. I'm Matt, and this is Josh.
I'm Josh. I'm scared.
Today, we will be discussing... Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get
Available on Netflix.
available on
And
Netflix.
remember, if you want to join the discussion, jump into our Discord server, the group chat. It's linked here. It's linked over there. Go fucking find it.
Oh, scared me. All right. My mother's listening. Probably
What?
not. I wonder if she's
Since when
giving
has
up
that stopped us before?
I didn't know she was listening before. Now I know she's listening. My aunts are listening, which is even worse.
But what difference does it make? Because we're at the same maturity level, the same
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
vulgarity.
Yeah, poop jokes and all.
Welcome to this episode where I'm gonna bully Josh.
They're at least gonna listen to the first couple minutes.
Oh no, your family's not gonna like me.
I need to put oil in this chair. Anyway, it's all creaky.
Please, I'm a good boy.
Okay,
I'm a good friend of Josh's.
Okay, don't worry. It's fine. I'm sure it's fine. Don't call yourself a good boy. Don't do that.
I'm a good Chico.
No. Don't do that either. Anyway, what show are we talking about today, Matt?
Well, you know what it is,
Yes, I know what it is.
but you told me I need to preface.
Uh-huh.
You said you don't think you're gonna like it.
Well, did I say that?
It's the harder sell.
Yeah, I think it's a harder sell because maybe the trailer just wasn't. Maybe it's just not a show designed for me, right? And I sort of vaguely remember the trailer, but I need you to like give me the pitch because I don't remember it all that well.
But do you like treasure hunting? Do you like the beach? Do you like sticking it to the 1%ers?
I guess so. Yeah, I do like treasure.
Well, then I think The Outer Banks is for you, Josh.
Awesome.
And
I'll
for anyone
watch
else
it.
listening. I liked it.
Yeah.
It was good. There's 2 seasons out. It's on Netflix. I think it's a Netflix original.
Yeah.
That's 2 weeks in a row though we're talking about Netflix shows. Netflix is going under.
Netflix is going under, and they're trying to. They've been. I've been piecing it together. I'm surprised I didn't think of this sooner. I know other people probably figured it out way sooner, but Netflix, because they sort of, built the streaming industry, and they built it off the backs of old content made by big studios, with all the movies and shows that other studios are just like, yeah, sure, put it up on your shitty website, whatever. And then it blew up, and now all those studios have their own streaming services, so they're removing their content from Netflix. And Netflix was trying to get ahead of this, right? With all their original content. And now they're just... Before they were, cranking out a few shows every year, right? That shows that you could easily miss, which is why we're talking about shows like this today, right? The Outer Banks. I feel like I missed it, and it's already going to have its 3rd season, meaning it must be good.
3rd season's coming out end of this month, end of February.
End of February.
But I think it fits our niche pretty tightly. It's a show that flew under the radar for reasons you've mentioned, but I think it's got a pretty decent following. I think the thing is it caters to a younger demographic because it's the total. You know how Stranger Things,
Yeah.
even the first season, it starts off with it's kids. It's like, how old are they? They're like
They're like
12.
9.
They're like,
Oh, yeah.
9 years old.
Yeah, they're like 9 years old.
They're in like second
Bullshit.
grade or third grade or something. They're tiny, but I think there's a the graph is kind of like a dip. Like, if kids are young enough and you can tell a good enough story that appeals to like a larger audience
Yeah.
because they're just young kids. It's just like, yeah, you see young kids everywhere. But you start aging them up and I think adults lose interest because the angsty teenagers, they're just being angsty. They just
I
do their own
agree.
thing. And then it of course appeals only to people of that are closer to that age demographic. So I think that's kind of where this fits. That may have been why you weren't that interested. Why I think the show hasn't reached like mass appeal. It's not a juggernaut. It's kind of one of those doing pretty good. Definitely earned
Interesting.
another season, but not, And then back when we talked about Shadow and Bone, I think that was a similar thing, kind of the young adult demographic.
Yeah, it's interesting that you point this out about me, because I was just thinking about how I fell off of The Runaways. Have you seen The Runaways on Hulu?
No,
So
I heard about that. Which one was that?
it's a Marvel property, a group of
Oh,
group of
wait,
teens with
like
superpowers.
Teen. What?
But that's the thing; it's young adult, right? So like, I fell off of the show.
Oh, so
Even the-
you're talking about Umbrella Academy.
No, I'm not talking about Umbrella Academy, and that's not a group of teens. It's a group of adults who, as children, were a group of superheroes.
It's 4. 4 just throws that whole thing off, makes it seem
Yeah.
like it's about teenagers.
Yeah, but I don't even. I never even watched Umbrella Academy either. I think I read the first volume of the comic, and it was pretty good. And I think that whole first season is just that first volume. But anyway, we're
Yeah.
getting in the weeds about the shows now. But it is interesting you point that out about like maybe I just don't like YA and teen stuff, even though I shouldn't let that hold me back in
Tell
enjoying
me,
the content.
Josh.
What?
This is Josh's therapy hour.
Oh God.
Tell me, what were your teenage years like?
I mean, they're very similar to. Actually. Angsty. Yeah.
Angsty.
Pretty
What-
angsty. Yeah.
What kind of content were you consuming as a young adult?
The first thing that comes to mind is Legend of Korra. That was the first thing to come to mind. What else was I watching? Again,
mean,
but that's also
okay.
angsty teenagers.
No,
Right.
that one. Cartoons aside, what else?
Mm-hmm.
What else were you watching?
I have no fucking clue.
As in high school, what was out? What were you doing?
I don't remember what was out in fucking. When did
Okay,
I go
no,
to
no,
high school?
not titles. What were you doing? What did you pass the time with when you got home from school?
The same thing I always did. I just turned on the TV. I'd play video games and I'd turn on the TV, and I just flipped between those two things. Back when I could like spend 8 hours a day playing video games, like
All right, well, maybe we can't nail down exactly what's going on here, but I think you as a person, this might not be exactly your genre, which is why stuff like this kind of slips under the radar. Did you give Shadow and Bone a try?
I did actually. I thi-
And
I-
did
how
you
mu-
like it?
Yeah, it was all right.
Did you
How-
swoon over Ben Barnes?
No, I didn't swoon.
I swooned.
You swooned.
He's so
Eh,
dreamy.
I like him in The Punisher.
Cause he's an asshole and he gets his face all scratched up.
Yeah,
and-
in the second season, he's great. He's such a great like messed up character. This guy he plays this guy who's evil, but doesn't know why he's evil, like because he has amnesia from the events of the first season.
okay, but in Shadow and Bone, he's
Uh-huh.
evil because he's just evil.
That is dreamy. Yeah.
No, it's kind of that he's so broken, but I think I can fix him kind of thing.
Yeah, I understand.
No, that's the whole. That's very much a young adult series because it's about the protagonist. She's the guy she's into, but he's not always into her. Then her life gets changed. Like she's thrown into this big adventure, and there's this other guy, this new guy, this powerful guy. But he's so dark and mysterious, but he's so handsome.
Yeah, I think I only got an episode in. Does it only take one episode for her to be revealed as the person as the Messiah?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it only takes one episode, right?
I think it's the first episode's cliffhanger. They leave it on that. You're like, what?
Oh, a bright light in the darkness. Yeah.
Well, I know we don't really revisit stuff that we talk about here,
We could.
even though we're supposed to issue challenges about it. But you haven't gone back to watch episode 2 of Shadow and Bone.
I don't believe so. I saw a bit where they have to they're trying to figure out the like you said, the episode 1 cliffhanger is like there's an event, something happened in the shadow, right? That rift. And I think the second episode is them like figuring out it was the girl, right? Because they have that guy that they're interrogating, right? And to people who have not seen the show, I'm not spoiling much, right? The show is good.
No,
right?
I guess it's kind of a spoiler, but we're just talking about the inciting incident, really, for the whole series.
Because
just
there's more
the very
characters at play.
beginning.
There's more characters at play. There's more factions at play, right?
Yeah, like there's much more to it.
Yeah, like there's the people on the other side of the rift, right? Like that young criminal mastermind who's trying to like.
I don't know. It's not that the rift divides the two storylines you're kind of following in the series. It's just the whole country. There's this giant rift that takes up it splits almost the whole country in half. So it's just a big part of what they deal with that drives kind of the conflict in the show.
Yeah.
But it can be traversed. It's just really annoying. It's just a big thing, a feature of their country. It's a whole thing. Anyway, Outer Banks is much more rooted in reality. And so it really relies on the drama as opposed to, a high fantasy story. I guess not high fantasy, but pretty in depth, like magic and fantasy.
What's the difference between fantasy and high fantasy?
If you need to ask, you don't deserve to know.
You don't know. You don't know.
No, I don't know.
Anyway.
Wait, now I need to know.
Oh boy. I'm gonna wait for you to Google this. But yeah, because
you need to know.
For the audience, in Shadow and Bone, there are ladies can be not just ladies, right? But like some people have magic, other people don't, right?
Yeah. A small percentage of the population has it's kind of like X-Men, but there's only a certain number of abilities. So like you'll have whole groups of people who can, throw fireballs, who can control water, who can stop your heart kind of thing. Yeah. There's a bunch of things.
Like
there's a few things, but a bunch of people.
Yeah.
High fantasy and low fantasy, the only difference between them is simply the setting. So I think low fantasy can have all the same characters and abilities and anything you might find in a fantasy story, but it takes place in a more realistic setting. But high fantasy is a completely made up world, completely different place.
Got it.
Where there's dragons flying overhead and I guess this is mid fantasy.
It's
Shadow
mid-fantasy.
and Bone.
Yeah.
It's mid fantasy. No, I think it's closer to high fantasy because it's a completely made up place, whole different country. It's just
they have guns too. That's the
it's like such a small population of these people with abilities, so it's like the rest of the world kind of just continues on. But Outer Banks very much. It takes place in North Carolina. The Outer Banks is a place in North Carolina.
So
it's an
super
island
low
community.
fantasy. Yeah, super low fantasy then.
Very much low fantasy.
Uh-huh.
No, it's not fantasy. It's all drama,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know that I'm specifically drawn to that kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with a drama. It's called a teen drama,
Mm-hmm.
but this one it's a little bit of action and mystery. The whole thing centers around kind of a mystery, trying to
Mhm.
figure out the main guy. His name is John B, I think. Yeah, John B. He's what's called a Pogue. Pogue.
What the fuck is a pogue?
It's what the community of people who live in the Outer Banks. So it's with most places in America. It's got a community of people, the locals who live there, who work, their regular jobs, and they got nowhere else to go. They just live here,
Yeah.
and for the most part, work for the rich assholes who also occupy the same space. They just live on the whole other side of the island
Uh-huh.
with all the summer homes, the country clubs, the giant mansions.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose this show, part of the drama is the fact that when you get this kind of place, it's a small island. It's a whole like town, but relatively small island. It's what happens when you get these two groups of people,
Yeah.
the very high society types, very snooty, and then the local, very much working class. But you get kids from both sides who grow up together.
Yeah.
And so the kids who are from the local group are called the Pogues.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a name, and the Kooks. Oh boy, I forgot about that. Kooks are all the rich people.
That's not good. Oh boy.
That's I completely forgot they used that term, but hey, we're
Yeah.
reappropriating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. So you already got some tribalism going on. That makes sense for a teen drama.
And it's not so much the scale of the story of the plot isn't really centered around the whole town.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get bits and pieces of that. You get all these other adults, actual adults in the story who drive a whole lot more of the plot, but it really focuses on this group of kids. John B is this main kid. I think his dad's missing and he's looking for him is the big part of the first season.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got his three other friends who are all Pogues, three locals, and this other girl who's kind of a love interest. They're all the same age, so they grew up together, but she is from the other side, from the rich side. Her dad is very much the big cheese in town. I don't think he's mayor. Maybe he is, but he's
Mayor
the one
McCheese.
running a little too much power for one man.
Yes. Interesting. This is all lining up.
It's starting to sound familiar.
Yeah. Well, you got the little town, you got the rich kids, you got the poor kids, right? You got the. Just keep telling me about it, right? Just keep telling me because what's this treasure hunt?
Well, we'll get to that because honestly, I don't even really remember it that much because it's not a huge part of the story. It's almost kind of like a solution that they discover halfway through the season, and they're like, wait, this is real. This myth, this legend we've been hearing about our whole lives. That pirate was real. He really stashed some gold somewhere. And they kind of take some time in the later half of the season figuring that's part of it. But I think a big draw for me and for my fiance as well, we watched it together, was the core group of characters, the Pogues. It's just their sense of camaraderie. It's almost family-like. John B, like I said, his dad's missing, but he never once is struggling. He's never like, oh, what am I going to eat then? He's already pretty self-sufficient because him and his dad lived pretty basic lives, but it's kind of like one of those old shows from the high school stories, like him and he would just go crash at his buddies for like 3 weeks straight, even though his parents are home. He just goes and lives with his buddy because that's what he can do that. and they feed him, and then they run around all summer long.
Going
Are
on
you
wacky
hungry?
adventures. Yeah.
Let's go grab food from my parents' restaurant. We'll just get a little extra meal from there. And then it's very much a boat community because it's on an island, and there's just a lot of canals, and that's how you really get around. So they just boat around a whole lot. They go exploring. It's Uncharted, but not cheesy, and
Okay.
more drama.
All right. Not cheesy. More drama.
It's a little
get it.
cheesy.
Look, I'm not completely opposed to the teen, young adult genre. I did watch 5 seasons of Vampire Diaries, and it was.
I feel like that's almost you can't. It's just too different.
It got very different, but in the beginning it was pretty grounded.
Yeah, it
In the
was.
beginning it was pretty grounded. By season 5, there was a second doppelganger of the same person, and
Hey, when you live forever, you run into doppelgangers, Josh. Duh.
this person didn't live forever. This person was just looked like another
No, but,
vampire from 300 years ago, and then that person looked like another vampire from 600 years ago.
I'm saying because there are vampires, the storyline, the entire plot that you're following is from the beginning of time and is continuing on to current day. So it's like in that setting, you can obviously create characters that are they almost kind of have to. Because if they're going to go so far back into history because these vampires have been living so long and they want to use the same cast, they kind of have to, don't they?
I guess so. Yeah, they do. Just like they don't.
How else are they going to have Nina Dobrev show up in every season until she doesn't?
God damn it! You beat me to name dropping her.
I didn't even watch the show. I watched a bunch of it with my fiance, but I didn't follow the whole thing.
Oh boy. Okay. So, Outer Banks, it's a teen drama, classic. Sounds like sort of. I don't know if Americana is the right word. Classic Americana. Story.
It kind of is.
It's
it gives
not
you that
rural, but it sounds like it's using those tropes pretty well.
It almost. I would be willing to bet they filmed a lot of it in like Louisiana, New Orleans, because it kind of gives off that vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a common place for shooting.
Georgia is.
I know Georgia is, but it just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe if there's enough kind of Louisiana-looking setting in Georgia, maybe. But
There's
it's
water in
the.
a lot of places. Yeah.
I think you jump in because you hear it's a show doing pretty well, and they get these actors that are all obviously over 18 but playing under 18-year-old teenagers. Yeah. But you stay because you like the relationships between them. Well, that's all teen drama. That's all of them. That's always about the relationships between the characters. Yeah, it seems like it.
Okay, that's good. I'm trying to think of a show with bad chemistry, but then I just wouldn't bother remembering that show with bad chemistry. But yeah, those shows, I don't know. Am I missing that in my life? I could use...
You're missing shows with bad chemistry?
No. Am I missing something like the Outer Banks in my life? Just like a nice drama. Just because I haven't had that in a long time. I haven't seen my life is not full of drama, right? So like I get my drama vicariously through TV shows.
I'm still surprised you don't watch reality TV.
No, why would I? Do you have a show to recommend?
Well, there's a few, but I'm just saying you don't have drama in your life. Like many people, they don't have that much drama, so they watch drama on TV.
Yeah, but what's the last reality TV show that I watched? What's the last reality TV show you watched?
It's been a while. Oh, well, it was more of like one of those competition shows. What was it called? It was The Mole. Did you watch The Mole?
No, I didn't watch The Mole.
That was a good show.
Wait a minute, isn't The Mole like a really old show?
Yes, but they remade it.
They remade it. Okay.
Like a year or two ago. And I've only watched the new one, and it's really good.
Okay.
Also on Netflix.
Also on Netflix. Jesus Christ, everything's on
We're
Netflix.
starting a petition to save Netflix from themselves. It's called Netflix Stop Being Stupid.
Stop being stupid, Netflix. Too bad. They're just going to keep being stupid. Oh.
Yeah. Stop pulling a Chapek.
Oh, I forgot my password to Netflix. I was going to go on Netflix and look at stuff. Oh.
I don't know. I've watched a few other things. Mostly, I guess I wouldn't have really sought them out by myself, but watching with my fiance, she's obviously, she grew up watching a few, so she was still into some. We watched Love is Blind. That was interesting. And it was pretty good. You get sucked in, and you're like, because it's like any TV show. You get sucked in because you're following characters, and you want to know what happens with them.
Yeah, the ladies at the office talk about Love is Blind.
I only watched the first season, I think, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Reality show. I can see myself watching The Outer Banks. I can't really see myself watching Love is Blind.
North Carolina's reality show.
North Carolina. I wonder what. And I'm sure they could have gotten a few shots in North Carolina, but some B-roll at least.
Well, I think it's just I grew up on the East Coast until I was in middle school, but that was in Virginia. But even then, I was only a state away, a couple states away.
Yeah.
But I never once heard of
an island.
The Outer Banks.
The Outer Banks, an island full of treasure.
No, it's not full of treasure. There's just one big treasure, and if you can find it,
then you become the One Piece. No, fucking weird.
It is right next to Virginia. It's one state away. It was one state away, and I still never heard of it.
You never heard of North Carolina?
Of the Outer Banks. Shut up.
The East Coast is a pretty big place. It's the entire eastern coast of the country. I don't know shit about the East Coast.
No, but I'm saying it's kind of it's just a feature, a place in this part of the East Coast that stands out, I guess. People recognize it. It's a vacation spot, like I said. I'm assuming there's a much more affluent side of town, so I guess people could visit there. Rich people will rent their nice houses and crash there.
If the island is completely made up, does that then make it high fantasy?
No, because I think the entire setting that's being made up has to have very much fantasy elements in it. Okay, if you just completely make up a setting, it's just called fiction, Josh.
Fine. God. I was just hoping you'd laugh, but
I got you again. Maybe it's not an island. It's just it's on the coast, but it's very much a bunch of separated pieces of land. Because, like I said, it's very much a water community. Archipelago, I guess. I don't know.
Probably not. But it's I get what you're saying. Have you seen Fear Street, also on Netflix?
No.
Because as long as we're talking about...
Wait, did I? Was that the one with Sadie Sink?
Sadie Sink was in it, yeah. She was in the second episode.
Yeah, I did.
And by episode is a 3-movie trilogy.
You know Halloween. What? I'm gonna ruin just one part of it because that's the only thing I remember about that.
What?
That series was the butcher, blade death of that one kid. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No, Butcher Blade.
It's like the thing at a butcher where they have multiple bandsaws in a row.
Yeah. I hate that.
In
Don't
a line.
Bring it up. I probably deleted that. Don't describe it any further. What about it?
There was a lot of brain.
Oh God.
No, it was good. I did like those movies. It was. I forget if it came out in the summer or if it came out around Halloween. Either way, we watched them.
I'm talking about there's the rich side and then there's the poor side. There's the working class side, right? There's those two sides, and it's sort of that divide, that class divide, is more important than you think in the show.
Well, I think, there's got to be a reason for it. And I'm guessing the reason is that that is just so relatable. There must be so many people. I mean, not everyone is middle class, obviously.
Oh yeah.
So I think there's just a large majority of people who deal with that. Probably mostly lower class folks who deal with that juxtaposition.
Working for the man.
The man. I told you, sticking it to the man.
Oh.
So I guess it's relatable. If not, at least something you can sympathize with. You root for the underdogs, and these are underdogs who are just living their lives. Their kids running around their town and getting in trouble and
okay.
What
other shenanigans do they get
being
up to?
semi-interesting?
What does that mean, being semi-interesting?
It's a matter of perspective.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we're old farts now.
Old farts.
I just turned
bastard.
30.
Yeah, I'm close behind you.
Exactly. We're old farts.
Yeah, it's 8:30. I'm already sleepy. Like
well, that's just a you thing. You wake up so early.
I do wake up early now, but I feel like I'm at that next step. I'm in that transitionary period where like 30 doesn't just start. You start like it started a year ago.
It started before you realized it started, and you realize it far too late.
Exactly. No, it's, that's all right. But
it's just watching a teen drama.
Yeah.
So it's you think, why are they so stupid? The older you get, you think, why are they so stupid?
Because
why did they break into that?
Nothing.
Why did they break into that condemned house? Why are they, throwing bottles around? They're just so stupid.
They are so stupid.
It's just getting mad at your own past mistakes.
I guess so.
But But then they make it interesting because there's treasure involved.
Your treasure. I can't believe. Is it actually like pirate treasure?
It kind of is. There's this. So the girl I mentioned, kind of the love interest to the main guy, the one who's from the rich side of the island.
Yeah.
Her dad or her family lives in one of the bigger houses. They're one of the richest families around in the community. So they live in a big house, but the big house was constructed by someone who was heavily involved with the founding of the town, or just one of those stories. So the house has secrets, has like rooms painted with murals, and in the murals there's hidden
there's
secrets
clues to the treasure.
And then the dad has in his desk several documents and blueprints because it just came with the house because it was there when the original guy died, and stuff like that. So they at some point break into the rich guy's house, even though it's the daughter's house too, because they need to get to hidden information that's around to follow this myth that they heard about.
Okay.
Does that not sound interesting? I feel like it's a pretty decent setup.
That does sound interesting, but you're telling me they don't realize that there's treasure until halfway through the first season?
I don't want to. Well, I guess it's like I'm not giving anything away. It amounts to what they would, the studio might mention in a trailer.
Okay, hold on. Don't say anything else, because maybe what I'm doing is that I'm just psyching myself out of it, when perhaps the correct choice was to, take time to build all the characters and the relationships and build the world before they go off on this journey to,
I think
hunt
they
treasure.
They went a step further than that. They set up the treasure hunt before they did anything else, but you didn't even realize that's what it was.
Okay.
They give you some details, some dark things happen, some mysterious things happen. Hard cut to this teenager waking up in his bed in his dirty shack, and then they continue on with the drama. So I think they did a pretty good job wrapping it up.
Yeah, I think that to me sounds better than Riverdale, because I don't even think I got through the first season of Riverdale, because like
really?
they start the show off with like, a boy has disappeared and his sister might be involved, and then they go nowhere with it for several
Okay, but-
episodes.
That's just CW.
Yeah, that's just
They make 24 44-minute episodes
That's true.
per season, and
they
they
are
just
long episodes.
they just fill it
Yeah.
with nonsense,
With
a
crap.
whole bunch of high school nonsense.
You
know what?
I did watch
They-
6 seasons of Arrow.
Well, yeah, and I didn't watch so much Arrow, but I did watch a lot of The Flash. So I was watching some of it during the height of those CW DC shows. And yeah, it was interesting for a little, and then it just, like everyone else, you lose interest because they didn't have a good formula
Hold on one second.
for that much content.
Hey, Mom, I'm recording right now. Love
Uh-oh.
you. Mwah.
Josh is muted, but did he mute his recording?
I did not mute my recording.
Aha! So all of you know what he had to say to his mom, but not me. I don't know.
I said, hi,
everyone,
Ma. Mwah. That's what I did. If you wanted
Everyone-
to know.
I don't believe him, so everyone report back to me what he said in that muted period.
I said, hi, Ma. I'm recording. Mwah.
I don't believe you. There was something else hidden in there. Everyone else, report
There
back.
wasn't anything else.
What
I need to
has
move
there
out.
been? Has there been a teen drama feature? Has there been a movie recently? Anything that comes to mind? Anything big, actually? So not recently. Just did you see Avatar 2?
No.
I thought you were the one saying you knew you were going to see it no matter what, even though you
Yeah.
didn't really want to.
I thought I did too, and I just never made it out to the movie theater.
Ah,
Yeah.
take Charlie. Go to Charlie's house.
No.
Blindfold him. Put him in a sack. Throw him in your car. Drive him to the theater.
I'm not going to put him through that. He's just going to complain about the CGI the entire time. It's all he ever does with CGI.
What does he have to complain about? It's James Cameron. What does he
He
have to complain about?
Always complains about the CGI. It does not matter what it looks like. He prefers animation over CGI or no CGI at all. Like the CGI has to be fucking invisible if for him to like it.
So he's into Harry Potter. the invisibility cloak scenes. He likes that. You
No.
can't see it.
He
It's
doesn't
CGI,
give
but
a
you can't see
shit.
it.
He doesn't give a shit about that. He's a bigger fan of like practical effects and all that. Maybe
I
there's
get that.
Maybe the CGI is really good. I don't know, but he's nitpicky about it.
I mean, it's the whole movie is almost completely CGI.
Yeah.
More so than the first movie, so it's like it has to be pretty flawless. And I think it's not completely 100% realistic, obviously. There's a limit to technology even today, but it's James Cameron. It's about as good as you can possibly get right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a Charlie thing. That's just him wanting to complain.
Yeah.
But I mention it because I did see it, and as I'm sure you know, it takes place 10 years later. Jake Sully has a wife, but he also has a family now.
Yeah.
And a big part of the story, the kids kind of take over.
Yeah.
So it almost
they're only
becomes
10?
kind of. There's
you
10.
said-
10
Yeah, you said 10 years later, right?
Yeah.
So the kids are only 10.
Yeah, but they're alien kids.
Okay.
I don't know how long a year is in Pandora.
Okay, fine.
No, I don't know. Maybe they are 10. But the oldest kid seems they're basically teenagers.
Okay.
There's 3 older kids that are all around the same age, like teenagers. Like young teen. They're the oldest is like 15.
Yeah.
And then there's one younger kid who's like 8 or whatever. But yeah, there's young adults, teenagers. There's a teenage element to the story, and it really pushes the whole family dynamic, which I thought would be like, oh, so they just You know, they stuck to real time. It's 10 years later,
Yeah.
and they added kids.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I fucking really like the kids' story.
Okay, all right.
Most of the movie the kids take over, and I didn't mind. It was a good movie.
I'll have to watch it. I'll have to get around to it.
We watched Charlie's suggestion. He told us to watch Puss in Boots, and by the way,
Yeah.
go watch Puss in Boots.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
That was incredibly good.
I
I still don't understand how.
What do you mean you don't understand how? We can have a whole discussion about that if you want. Like, it's fucking...
Well, that's not teen drama.
No, it's not teen drama. In fact, that story is the story of an old man coming to terms with death and
With
retirement.
his mortality, his
not-
cat
yeah.
mortality.
Yeah, his mortality, right? It's fucking... If you saw the trailer of Puss in Boots, Puss has died he's lost 8 out of his 9 lives. He's on his 9th life. And everything is riskier now, right? Everything is riskier, so he can't be fearless anymore, right? And he has to put away the boots forever if he wants to continue to live.
He's Puss
And-
without boots.
He's Puss without boots for a period of the film. But that is the story of aging. That is the story of a young man becoming old.
No, see, but the story isn't about aging and mortality.
No, it's not.
It's
Yeah.
about self-discovery. It's about his arc.
It's about
learning
the death
to-
of self. Like
Yes.
it's about like how he has to literally kill his ego in order to not just survive, but to like live a better life. And like that's the great part about like I don't remember Shrek 3 or Shrek 4, right? I don't remember those like the plot.
I don't remember those either.
I loosely remember the plot of Shrek 4, right? But Shrek 1 and 2, at least one was about self-acceptance and self-love, right? Shrek and Fiona sort of finding that out together, but that wasn't like hugely apparent to me even today. Even just watching the film, you won't get that. Like it'll take you a minute to figure that out. They're like, oh shit, he hated himself. Like you realize, you listen to the words Shrek is saying, and he's like, he really fucking hated himself for what he was. He saw himself as a monster. It's not just that other people saw him as such. It's that he didn't believe he was like worthy of love. And to a certain extent, Fiona felt the same way because she would turn into an ogre. And because she would turn into an ogre, it was a curse, right? And then them finding each other, which again is also like a theme of Puss in Boots, was them finding each other. They're able to realize that everything was fine. Everything, as like with Goldilocks and Puss in Boots, everything was just right. Everything was fine. No matter the fact that you're an ogre, you could still be loved and loved.
Or that you're an old cat.
Or you're an old cat who's fucking died 8 times, and
who's never loved anyone else but himself.
Exactly, and he can learn to love other people. Now on his 9th life, when he has no other options, but it's because now he can see, right? Now he can see. It's all about that journey, right? That journey is what shows the character who they are, what they did wrong.
Yeah, okay, but I mean that's a pretty old story.
Yeah, it is.
We've all seen that plenty of times. But what do you do when a big part of your characters is their youth?
Yeah, that's really
that's
fucking
what
tough.
That's what we're talking about. And I think that despite that fact, obviously there's hundreds of other shows about young adults, just kids, teenagers. But this show, I don't know. It's something about it, something about the setting. I guess kind of it does give you a little bit of that Americana feel. It's just the sense of community. And there's just these kids. No, they got nothing going on in the world except
Idle hands.
Except their fellow pogues.
Fellow pogues. Oh boy.
And yet it grabbed me. I think you'd like it. It was a good show.
I don't think I have to watch it. It's I feel like it's gonna be one of those shows where like
Don't drop that cat.
the cat fell and is gone. There's no floor down here. There's no floor down here. It just keeps going. Anyway, it's probably one of those shows where like it's just good. Like it's not necessarily the plot. The plot isn't what's makes it interesting. Like you were saying, like the chemistry between the characters, I'm sure, is what really holds the show together. And like a lot of shows live and die by that. Like they just came out with that '90s show, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I've seen like 2 scenes with the new kids, and I'm just not hooked. But whenever, what's up?
Do you identify more with Red and Kitty?
No, I don't identify more with Red and Kitty, but like the original cast, they pop in the first episode, right? And here are the characters I love and who get along great and interact well with with each other in interesting ways.
Well, is it the same writers as the original show?
I don't know, but sometimes like going back to like we were, I don't know if we discussed this on the podcast during this recording, or we discussed it before we hit record, but you liked Ghostbusters Afterlife. I did not like Ghostbusters Afterlife.
It's because you're an old fart.
I'm scrunching up the wire, folks. All right, for audio listeners. I'm
Tune in
holding
to
my
see.
fists in the air.
Tune into YouTube to see what he means.
Yeah. Anyway, but no, it's just like the chemistry between the original Ghostbusters is just so much better than the chemistry between the other characters. The other characters were just like, okay, I get it, quirky kids, and then older teenage brother, and then mom who's like at her wit's end with all these shenanigans. Now ghosts start appearing, right? Paul Rudd's there.
I fucking love Paul Rudd.
Yeah, he's great.
But you can't say a story is only ever limited by the chemistry of its characters.
No, I
I
would
think
agree
we
with
use
that.
that as such an effective barometer for what makes a good story, but like with Ghostbusters, I think they did something really phenomenal with an area that is typically looked over. There's just been so many attempts at reboots of like old classics,
Yeah.
and so many of them fall through. But I think, what was his name? Reitzman, like Jason Reitzman, or the son of the
Ivan,
original director.
Yeah. Ivan Reitman.
He's
Yeah.
Ivan Reitman. So Jason, I think it was Jason.
I think
His
his son's
kid,
Jason, Yeah.
Ivan Reitman's kid, made this movie. And he's someone who literally grew up with Ghostbusters. Ivan Reitman directed, helped create the originals, so this kid's whole life was around watching these movies, seeing props in his own home, watching people come up to his dad and talk to him about these movies. So I think that had a big impact on him creating this story, but he was in a really good place to know exactly what people still think about Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And how much it has left to offer. And I think he wrote, him and whatever other writers there might have been involved, a story that makes good use of the original idea, which isn't just the chemistry of the characters, because Bill Murray is, he's the major part of the cast of the original Ghostbusters movies, but I think Bill Murray, most people are aware, you just can't recreate Bill Murray.
No, you can't recreate Bill Murray.
He's too unique. He's one of a kind on his own.
Okay, I'll say this about the movie. I appreciate the sort of direction they went in, right? I like the fact that like it's literally a sleepy, dusty town in the middle of nowhere, right? And I like how Egon was, the legacy of Egon was that he was the dirt farmer like at the edge of town.
Which I think is a fantastic way to sum up the rest of his time alive.
Yeah.
That's so entertaining to me. He was just the misunderstood dirt farmer,
Yeah,
the weird scientist.
the
He
fact
was the
that-
Doc Brown. He was the unloved Doc Brown
Yeah, he
of
was
his town.
No, exactly. And so the fact that like he gave up everything to continue this crusade when everyone else gave up, right? That was interesting. I feel like a lot of it was interesting, and like I liked the plot, right? What's the name of the demon? What's the name of the ghost?
Oh,
I forget. I was really surprised to see Olivia Wilde play it. That
I
was,
know, right?
That was nice. That was funny.
it's kind of
Um,
perfect.
it was
Hasn't she
kinda
kind of? Didn't she end up like kind of demonizing herself with all that controversy over
Yeah.
"Don't Worry, Darling"?
Yeah, that was a different thing. But I don't know. Like that movie, it was okay. It was an okay movie. I know earlier I said it was terrible. It wasn't terrible. It was an okay movie. It's like
Zool.
I like the Zool. Yeah, I like the gadgets. I like the fact that like J.K. Simmons is the guy who like not only built this whole like temple under a mountain, but also is the guy who built the apartment building in the first movie, and he's like
What? And he's also
encapsulated.
he built the. He's Cave Johnson.
He's
He's
Cave
known
Johnson.
for known for doing these things. He built what a million like square meter complex under the ground for
Exactly.
some technology company for Aperture Science.
It's what his characters do. His characters are weird and they build things and they're bizarre. But
Hey, you're talking about what's Lieutenant Gordon, Commissioner Gordon?
yeah,
He's not
Gordon.
commissioner.
He's
Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, he's Commissioner Gordon. And I don't mean just Bill Murray. Bill Murray, of course, is great. He's a treasure. But Bill Murray next to Dan Aykroyd with Ernie Hudson. Is Ernie Hudson his real name or his character's name? I can't remember. But
You can't say that. I know you don't mean to, but you really can't say that.
I can't say that because I don't know.
No, the actor's name is Ernie Hudson.
The actor's
he
name
plays
is yeah, what is his name?
Winston
Yeah.
Zedmore.
It is Winston. Okay. And so I guess I did know the names. Anyway, so seeing the three of them together just like immediately show up at the end and just the quick banter and then the delivery of that was such a nostalgia hit. I'm just like, they still got it. They're all fucking 80.
No,
they
but
still
see,
got it.
they don't still got it.
What do you
They
mean?
they don't, because they didn't film a whole movie creating the same chemistry. It was pure nostalgia. It was you remembering the great chemistry from the first two movies, and all they had to do was show up and throw a couple lines at each other.
How dare
And then, no, tell me, explain how I'm wrong.
No,
Because
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
What did
I'm
they
just
give
saying,
you?
how
They
dare you.
they gave like 2 lines in this
Yeah.
new movie, and all it is you remembering fondly the chemistry they had in the first 2 movies. But I think Ghostbusters Afterlife is still a good movie because
I'll say it's a good movie. I just won't say it's a great movie.
it was great.
It was
I think
not great.
Ghostbusters was ahead of its time. It was saved by the chemistry of the characters, the quality of the cast, and the chemistry of the characters. But I think, given a few decades, and now much better CGI and the ability to create a spectacle with this whole thing, the effects were pretty great back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because ghosts can be as ridiculous as you want. Nobody knows what a real ghost looks like. You can make them glowing green and gooey and, wild hair. But I think it looks much better with modern CGI.
Yeah. All right. How dare you? But
What do you mean? How dare it? We're going to watch it together.
I
And
don't
I'm gonna-
want to watch it again.
I'm going to demand you tell me what you don't like about it. I think it's just you again. It's you.
Sure. We can say
Not
it's just me.
I think young adult stories don't appeal to you.
We can say that. I think we can safely say that.
I think that's a factor because
Like-
I loved Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I am tired of Finn Wolfhard. I am tired of him. All right. Just,
But you like Stranger Things.
I like Stranger Things, but like there's significantly less Finn Wolfhard in every season.
Yeah, but there's a lot more Millie Bobby Brown, which means there's still a pretty decent amount of Finn Wolfhard.
Not in the last season. The last season they're separated for most of it. Right?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Like Finn Wolfhard in that last season where he's just like, I know exactly what we need to do in order to get through this scenario. He wasn't that bad, right? Or actually, I would say he's pretty decent in the latest season, right? Because he's just about like solving the problem. Like he knows shit's wrong, and yeah, is he whiny? Yeah, he's whiny, and I don't give a shit about him and Will.
Wasn't most of the season them just trying to find 11?
Yeah, and that was annoying. But like once they find 11, right? There's only two good parts. If we're spoiling that season, right? There's only two good parts where I gave a shit about Finn Wolfhard's part of the group. It's when the second part is when they finally find 11 and they help her like sort of submerge her in a new tank with fucking salt and shit, right? And they got the fucking pothead pizza dude. He's great. And
Argyle, please use his name.
Argyle, you're right. Argyle. How could I forget Argyle?
Wait, sorry, really quick. Let me just interrupt. They actually, my grocery store sold Surfer Boy pizzas as a promotion for Stranger Things.
Really?
I forget the brand of pizza that actually makes it, but they just rebranded for the promotion. Because it honestly just said Surfer Boy Pizza, and I was like, wait, that's from Stranger Things. The pizza was pretty good, but it was really fun eating a Surfer Boy pizza.
I don't know why I imagine it would be Red Baron pizza, but I just do.
It could have been. Maybe it was.
But there's that sequence, right? And then the other sequence is when they're with the two FBI guys, right? And they're sort of trying to trick the FBI guys into calling Argyle.
To like order a pizza.
But then the house is under attack, and for two characters, I don't even think they named the characters, the two FBI agents, but just suddenly those two characters were given little to no screen time, but the most weight was put on their shoulders. And suddenly these two nameless characters were just awesome. Like there's one FBI agent, he gets shot pretty quickly, but then throughout the rest of the season, you have to watch him get tortured several times before
that's right.
They allude to him being tortured several times before he eventually gives up the location, right?
Of Papa.
And so I give it to, it's like there's like 4 scenes where they're like, tell us or we'll make it worse, and he's like, never.
No.
And then the other FBI agent, right, is just like, everybody get down, you do as I say, or you're gonna get fucking shot in the face by one of these other guys. And then he goes down like a fucking champ and gives
Why
him a
is
pen.
this your favorite part of the show?
Because one, this goes back to me not liking the shitty teens, right?
Okay, but I'm not even talking about them. I'm talking about Hopper. How can you not like?
No,
how can Hopper scenes not be your favorite?
I love Hopper scenes. That's what I'm trying to get to. Like I would love to just skip all the teenage bullshit, right? Just get me more Hopper. Hopper in prison, them trying to get Hopper out of prison, like.
But that's what made Stranger Things was the kids' story.
I know, but I just don't. Here's the thing: the kids do cool things, right? Like I just saying, like Finn Wolfhard's character being there, trying to devise a plan to like, all right, we need to trick these two FBI agents into calling for Pizza, who is Jonathan's friend, who will come and pick us up and will sneak away, right? So that was them devising a plan in order to like move the plot forward. But then Will is sad that him and fucking Finn Mike are not friends anymore. I don't need that. Like, I just want the show. I want to see more like 11 psychically fighting things. Like,
but No, but see, if you do get more of that, it won't
Mhm.
be as interesting. You'll get tired of it.
No, because the drama with Eleven in that season, especially, right, was really good. It was really good
Yeah.
drama where like she was delving into her past and the facility and what was going on back then, and her confrontation between this enigmatic figure and who this person really is and what they want, right? And sort of like
Eh,
remembering things that were lost to her. That was really interesting.
Yeah, but you don't think setting that against the backdrop of like the mediocrity of just her regular ass friends makes her story that much better. It
No.
it it creates that much more, I don't know, what more conflict, more intrigue in her, because
No.
she is just hell-bent on becoming the normal teenager, and she is constantly thrust into this role as psychic superhero.
Yeah, but like once she's thrown into the world of psychic superhero, that juxtaposition is completely irrelevant. Like it's not there. It's not even
I
like it's not even dangled in front of her anymore. Like she
What? No, it doesn't have to be, because she's constantly trying to get back to Mike.
I mean, that's not even like a discussion at a certain point. Like she says yes and then she's just trying to escape. Like that's one thing.
To get back to her life, to her friends, to like not have to do this.
Yeah, and so it seems stupid because her life was really shitty at that school with these random fucking teenagers being mean to her.
Okay, but that was only meant to show how like this change in her life sucked.
Okay,
How she wanted to get back to Mike because that was her
okay.
true group of
Let
friends.
me let me counteract my own point, right? And give you some credit because I just think it didn't work in some areas and it did work in other areas. Like with that blonde dude, basketball player, do you remember him?
In the
In the
fourth
latest
season,
season. Yeah,
the
in the
most
latest
recent
the
season,
most recent season, right? There's
a
the basketball
basketball
team.
dude.
The basketball team. You remember the basketball team?
What did they do?
What do you mean? What did they do? They were hunting Eddie, right?
The one that Lucas joined, right? He
Yeah,
was one of the basketball players. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Lucas
yeah.
joined the basketball team. That basketball team, right? At first, he goes like, "Oh, Lucas joined this really annoying basketball team," but like they've accepted him as part of their group. But now he's one of the cool kids. Like, I'm like, who gives a shit, right? But then this group of cool kids,
The
somebody
Trump supporters.
the Trump support, somebody they knew was killed, and that that blonde team
Oh my
captain,
God, Chrissy,
he
wake up! I'm
exactly
getting flashbacks.
exactly he took it upon himself. He rallied his guys. He's like, we're gonna fucking solve this. We're gonna get the guy who did this, right? They're sort of jumping the gun, but they don't
Eddie
know that
Munson.
they're a group of guys who are just like fervently going after they're that group of football of basketball dudes is the antithesis to the main group of kids, right? they're just they're now an opposite force investigating the incidences that are occurring in the town, but they don't know that these are supernatural extraterrestrial in nature. They just don't know that. So it's kind of annoying. It's kind of the in a good way.
Super dimensional.
It's like it's that thing. It's like that thing in horror movies where like why don't they just leave, right? And it's but in this case it makes more sense because they don't know it's literally a monster. They think it's a person that they can take the law into their own hands, and they
Yeah.
think they can do it themselves. Which now that those personality types that they sort of had to introduce in the beginning makes a lot more sense. Their existence makes a lot more sense. Where the bullies from Eleven's bully from the beginning of the show doesn't really play a role later on in the season. It's sort of just like, look how shitty her life is. Look how shitty her life isn't what she thought it would be, and
Yeah.
now she has to go back to being a government weapon. Which you're right. The juxtaposition is sad. She doesn't have many options, right? But she's just trying to get back to Mike, and that's all she's trying to do. But at a certain point, she says, "Okay, I'll do the thing. I'll go kill the monster," and then that's about it. I don't know. I think it worked in some places. It didn't work in other places.
Yeah, I don't think it's perfect, but I did really enjoy that season.
Yeah, it's a very good season, right? Eddie Munson was a great character.
He's coming back.
How is he coming back?
Honestly, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I heard he's coming back.
I'm a demon now, Dustin. It's awesome.
It's awesome. I play metal all the time.
Ah. Oh my god. I saw a clip where that actor was actually playing the guitar. Like he was actually playing that.
I saw a clip where he actually met Metallica and he played with them.
Wonderful. Okay, I think we should call
I
it there.
think that's it, Josh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We talked nothing about Outer Banks. You don't even know what it is.
I still
but
don't
that's
know what it
okay.
is. Okay. We'll figure out a title for this episode later, I guess.
No, we talked about it plenty. It was we connected it to a lot of other young adult stories and young adult stories that show up in stories that aren't typically young adult. Mm-hmm. But we still enjoy. Mm-hmm. Like Ghostbusters. Just kidding. Bill Murray is old as fuck.
He is old as living hell. That is a fact.
But I think if you were to watch Outer Banks, you would get something out of it.
I think so, too.
I think you should watch Outer Banks and get something out of it. Not you, Josh. Stop listening.
I'm pointing at the camera.
Yeah, I know. It's a good show. I did enjoy it. So if it's... Honestly, when I hear people talk about it, like I see posts online that the season's coming back and speculation, people get really excited for it. And it just reminds me, like, yeah, honestly, I did really enjoy watching it. But hopefully I convinced you. It's on Netflix. Netflix as long as it lasts. Maybe Netflix will get bought by Disney, and then it'll all be on Disney+.
That would be horrible. Okay.
But it's on Netflix, but get it wherever you can. If you enjoyed the podcast, please follow us.
Yeah.
We're this you can see us on YouTube, but we're also on Spotify we're gonna eventually at some point we'll make some other social media accounts. There's a TikTok. Mm-hmm. But there's some other we post to other podcast platforms.
Yeah.
But this has been Consume Content, where we help you consume content. We hope you'll consume this content.
Goodbye.
Go to bed, Josh.
No.